American evangelicals support pursuing of this war.
You think that's because they don't have all the information that WikiLeaks is
I don't
providing?
think they want to hear the information. Insanity is to continue to do the same thing year after year and expect that the consequences are going to be different. It's about time we begin to ask the question, what do we do?
It now, what do we do? Hi, everybody. This is Mark Lowry again and Tony Campolo, and we're at Southeastern University. And our special guest during this season of what is it called? Saturdays with Mark and Tony, is Stan Mitchell. Now, we've already had 1 hour, and you wanted to talk about, we have a media ethics class. Let's hear it for the media ethics class here. So glad. And if y'all have any questions during our time, please just walk to the microphone. Don't be shy.
You can walk right in front of us.
Yeah, just where it is. And if you have any questions or comments, you think we're full of it, just say it.
Yeah.
Tony, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, there's a big hullabaloo these days in the secular media and in the university setting outside the Christian community on the wiki papers. Do you even know what they are?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That evidently there are people gathering all these reports from Afghanistan and Iraq that the Pentagon is just trying to suppress by every means possible because they're revealing things that we don't want to know about Afghanistan and about Iraq. And it frightens me because everybody loves to quote 2 Chronicles, you know, if my people are called by my name, will turn from their evil, humble themselves and turn from their evil ways, I will restore the land. And they tend to ignore the fact that part of America's evil ways may be what's happening in Afghanistan and Iraq right now, where we're finding reports of civilians being almost indiscriminately killed by people who are doing it, according to some reports, for the fun of it. They actually had a young man with his face covered, of course, reporting about, how he and his colleagues in this particular unit just didn't have anything else to do one afternoon. They were bored, so they went to a village, lined up some men, and shot them. These kinds of stories are inflaming the Muslim world and moving us towards a great conflict between the Judeo-Christian West and the Muslim East. It's scary, and and when evangelicals, because we're evangelicals, are asked the question, what do you think about all of this? Overwhelmingly, American evangelicals support Bush and Obama in the pursuing of this war.
You think that's because they don't have all the information that WikiLeaks is providing?
I don't think they want to hear the information.
Well, let me ask you, does those atrocities you just mentioned, are they the exception? Or are they the rule? Can you make those synonymous with this war?
Yeah, well, the answer to the question is it probably goes on in all wars, on all wars. Let's not kid ourselves. We hear about the good war. You've heard about the good war, World War II.
Yeah.
You know, that was the good war, they said, the good war. Yeah, let me give you a story, and then we can all react. It's not my story, it's Phil Yancey's. Phil Yancey, the author, said, I was having dinner with a man who was in the Battle of the Bulge and was in a particular military unit that was sent out each morning to kill the wounded. During the Battle of the Bulge, they could not take prisoners, so they would just go out and shoot the wounded. He said, I came upon this man, talking to Phil, said, I came upon this man who wasn't wounded, but he was so exhausted, so dissipated, having not slept for days. He was leaning limp against a tree, seated, leaning with his back against a tree. The guy said, I came up to him, I lifted my rifle, and I was about to shoot him when the guy said in perfect English, would you give me a moment to pray and get right with God? So the guy with the gun said, are you a Christian? And the German soldier said, yes, I am. He said, I sat down with him, and we talked about our faith. We actually had opened the scriptures and shared our favorite verses with each other. He showed me pictures of his family. I showed him pictures of my family. And Phil kept on pressing him all through this. What did you do? What did you do? You were ordered to kill. What did you do? And when he came to the end, a man said, well, I stood up and I said, you're a Christian? I'm a Christian. I'll see you in heaven. And I shot him. This is war. It's about time we stop pretending that it's all done nicely. There was a lot of atrocities there are atrocities in every war. The question that you raised, however, is a serious one. How common has this become in Afghanistan and Iraq? And the answer of the wiki papers is that it's becoming increasingly common. That the animosity of the Iraqi people against the American soldiers, who we thought were going to be welcomed with roses thrown at their feet, is a totally different reaction. They're out to kill us. And these guys live in fear all day long. And they don't know when they walk down the street whether a terrorist bomb is going to blow them up. And little by little, they come to hate the Iraqi people, and they hate the Afghanistan people. And out of that hatred comes this kind of merciless killing. And we have to begin to ask ourselves, what is this all about?
And that happens in every war.
But we're wearing whether this war, perhaps more than any other, for a very simple reason, that nobody's quite sure why we're there. Are we there to prop up a dictator? That's what Kazan is, the dictator down there, who, if you pick up the days, New York Times, front page story, he's been paid off with millions and millions of dollars by Iraq. Iraq has got him supporting efforts.
Iraq or Iran?
Iraq.
Iraq.
Iraq is paying him off. And Iran is doing it too, both of them. Iran is doing it too. Iran even more money. He's taking money from these countries in opposition to the American forces. And the American soldiers are there saying, what are we here for? They're asking that in Iraq. We came over here for democracy. What happens? They had a free election and a Shiite government was elected. A Shiite government that is doing what? Burning down churches in Baghdad, persecuting Christians. There were 1,500,000 Christians in Iraq before we invaded. It's now down to 600,000. They're becoming refugees in Jordan, and the Jordanians won't give them jobs because they don't have enough jobs for their own people. They're on the basis of starvation. The evangelical community doesn't even know it's there. Hundreds of thousands of fellow Christians suffering in Jordan, having been driven out of Iraq.
So what do we do?
Well, it's about time we begin to ask the questions,
Okay,
what do we
asked
do?
it, now what do we do?
Insanity, said Freud, is to continue to do the same thing year after year and expect that the consequences are going to be different.
Well, your man got in office.
Well, no,
and he's
disappointed
continued the
me.
war.
He's disappointed me to no end. He promised to end the war. He didn't end the war. He said he was going to. Well, he's brought some of the troops home, not enough. You know what's happened? We know, and this is the big issue in Afghanistan now. We no longer have as many soldiers in Iraq. Instead, we have hired companies who have private mercenaries. You know what they are. Hired people. And they outnumber today the number of men that were there under the U.S. flag. In short, we don't have bona fide soldiers. We have these mercenaries who, in fact, have no morality. At least our American soldiers had some degree of morality.
Why? Why do we do it? Why are we there? I know it's dicey to go to the issue of motive. What is the motive of the West to be there?